Hey guys, this is Dr. Travis Soner from Fusion Rehab and Wellness, and today I want to talk with you about shoulder mobility. Coach Hud's been doing a really great job with his program this week, and we had a lot of push-ups, a lot of presses, a lot of jerks, a lot of presses, bench presses, and we've been really focusing a whole lot on our anterior chain. When you combine that with a lot of us being at home, being on our phones a lot, working on our home computers, as well as just kind of like being stressed out and holding a lot of our tension up through our traps and neck, we can start to pull into this forward head, rounded shoulders kind of posture because we've been training there and sitting there. And so I want to talk today about why it's important to open this space up. One of the things with stress along the side of your neck here is you have muscles called your scalenes. These muscles are really important because they attach to your first rib, and in between your anterior and middle, a lot of nerves come out from the neck, moving through your anterior middle scalene, coming underneath your clavicle and moving down to your arm. If these muscles are tight from doing lots of presses, lots of jerks, lots of snatches, or just from being stressed out, it can pinch down in there. We want to try and open that space back up. So what we want to do is mobilize your first and second rib, and then we got to work on opening up your pecs and relaxing them a little bit. So I'm going to give 3 mobility exercises today to help open up all of this space and be able to clear your shoulder and get it into higher elevation and extension. I've already done these exercises on my right side. I'm going to be going through them with my left with all of you. I did it so that you can see the difference, that both of my arms were even before doing these exercises, and now you can see my right arm can go back a lot further than my left. So I'm going to be working on my left arm with you guys. The first exercise is going to be doing an inferior glide of your first rib. Without your first rib traveling inferiorly, if it's stuck elevated, your clavicle won't be able to rotate posteriorly and you won't be able to achieve that full extension. Once you get about 160 degrees of shoulder flexion, once you start moving back through there, most of that motion is coming from your shoulder blade and your clavicle rolling posteriorly. If you can't clear your first rib by your clavicle, then you're going to get stuck between 160 and 180 degrees. You won't be able to achieve that good full extension. So we're going to work on an inferior glide of that first rib. All you're going to need to do that is, this could be any wall. I'm just going to be using my home rig here. I'm using my dog's Kong tennis ball, but you can use a regular tennis ball, you can use a lacrosse ball, anything like that. And I have a lacrosse stick hanging out, but you can use any kind of a dowel, broomstick, anything along those lines to give you your fulcrum. What you're going to do is you're going to put the stick or dowel up against the wall, or in this case the post. You're going to lay down just underneath of it. With your opposite hand, you're going to try and find a little triangle space right in through here. So you have your clavicle coming through and you have your upper trap right through here. Start feeling around and you will find a bony shelf right in the middle of this triangle. So mine's right there. I'm going to take the tennis ball and put it right over top of that. So now that tennis ball is sitting right on my first rib. I'm going to take the dowel and I'm going to put it up against the tennis ball. I'm going to hold it in place. Stella's going to help me hold it in place here, aren't you, Stella? So now when I go to elevate my shoulder and I'm moving it from flexion into that extension, oh, yeah, there it is, right there. It's going to be forcing an inferior glide down through my first rib. Isn't it, Stella? Yeah, good girl. Good girl. All right, so what we're going to do is move through shoulder flexion, and as I'm moving through flexion and my rib wants to elevate, the ball and dowel are going to force it into that inferior glide. So I'm going to do 5 to 10 shoulder flexions. Oh. And when you're doing this, you're going to feel some compression coming down onto your first rib. Don't try and push all the way through the pain. Just let it happen. So as you're moving through the shoulder flexion, you will notice that your arm is going to get closer and closer to the ground each time you do this. And after you do some flexions, you want to do some abductions as well. So you're going to come up to the side and just kind of sweep through the floor, moving your shoulder back and forth through that abduction range. And like I said, you'll feel a little bit of pressure as you're doing this, but that's good because that's actually doing that inferior glide of that first rib. There we go. All right. So the second exercise is going to be clearing the second rib then. So now that we've moved the first rib down a little bit, the second rib also needs to be able to do that same pump handle motion. So from here, with your fingers on the first rib, you'll start to crawl back a little bit, and you'll actually feel your second rib just above your shoulder blade. So right here is where my shoulder blade is. If I start moving up a little bit, you're going to feel a bony prominence right there. That's going to be your second rib. All you're going to do is take that same ball, put it right on that spot just above your shoulder blade, and then we're going to go through those same, oh yeah, there it is, those same flexion moments. So we're doing that inferior glide now on the second rib. There we go. Oh. I'm telling you, after all these presses, especially after doing all those push-ups from Big Mama's house and then doing bench press, oh baby, I needed this. Whew, there we go. Getting that clearance through there. So now that I'm done with flexion, I'm going to sweep the floor into abduction. There we go. Notice that I'm doing internal and external rotation with my hand as I'm moving through this motion to help really clear everything out of the shoulder. There we go. And then the more I do this, it just keeps getting better and better. That initial pressure is gone. I'm feeling pretty good. There we go. Then the last little bit is we want to work on our external rotation. Your pecs are big, big internal rotators. So when you're doing lots of pressing here and here and using your pecs and your anterior delts a whole lot, those are internal rotators. So we want to be able to open up into external rotation so that when we go into a clean for just a power clean or the clean before we actually press it up for the jerk or holding it for front squats, we want to be able to achieve that full external rotation. Whenever we start working on rotation, it's a really good idea to get some lateral distraction down through your shoulder joint. So what we're going to do for this is I have just a regular TheraBand tied up to my rig here. You can tie this to the bottom of a couch, chair, anything along those lines, just so long as when you pull it, it doesn't move. What you're going to do is strap that band right around your shoulder and get it good and deep into your armpit. And you want to make sure there's some good tension through here. The higher tension you have in this, the better, because what that's going to do is it's going to provide a lateral distraction and help stretch out your anterior and your posterior shoulder capsule. I'm then just going to be taking a 35-pound kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell or anything else you have around your home that you've been using. And I'm going to go into internal and external rotation with the lateral distraction from the band. And what I'm trying to focus on is achieving full external, there it is, full external rotation with that kettlebell. And I can hold on and stabilize a little bit with my right arm. There we go. Getting some good lateral distraction and rotation, really opening up that anterior complex from where it's been tightening up from my pecs. Get two more in. There we go, last one. All right, and put that down, and now test retest. So you can see how tight my left shoulder was before. Now we're going to compare it to my right, coming up overhead, and you can see now my arms are pretty even. My left is able to get back there, which is a good position to be able to do snatches, overhead squats, everything. I'm achieving that better shoulder extension. So I've opened up all of that space. So this is a really, really good idea whenever you've done lots of pressing. Finish up your exercise with this instead of just getting done the WOD and then going about your business. Anytime you do lots of presses, add this to your routine and it'll help keep you with that good extension and external rotation to help you with better shoulder mobility.